Yes, He is greater than all. I did say yesterday, and yeah, it was yesterday, and probably on Friday, that I was going to say something about what is going on in South Africa. I want to save you from trouble. That's why I want to talk to you. I want to save you from trouble. Because sometimes many don't understand what's pushing them and how easily they could go over the cliff. Satan doesn't love peace. He's not one to give peace. He doesn't want you to have peace or prosperity. And you have to know that. In Revelation chapter 6, the Bible opens for us these four horsemen for the last days and the judgments that will come on this world. And the first one is one riding on a white horse. And I want us to begin reading from verse 1, chapter 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. We've talked about this on several occasions, but I want you to look at the next verse. When he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Observe that construction. He was given power to take peace from the earth. And what followed? And that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. So he was given power to take peace from the earth. And what followed? Killings. Years ago, during the administration of President Shehu Shagari in Nigeria, the people came to the conclusion that their young people weren't getting good jobs. They had sudden economic problems after they had been prosperous for a few years. And decided some of the Africans who had come to Nigeria during the years of prosperity, because they kind of fled economic hardships in their countries and relocated to Nigeria. and took up different kinds of jobs. Well, many Nigerians concluded that the reason they were having difficulties was because of these immigrants who were now in their country. And they zeroed in particularly on Ghanaians who were their next door neighbors and insisted all Ghanaians must leave the country. And the president also did announce that those who were illegal immigrants must leave. But the trouble with a lot of such things is that when the people on the grounds, when those in the streets decide they have the power to execute judgment because the others are illegals or they're illegally here, we must send them out. So they insisted the Ghanaians must leave. What a sight it was back in those years. They had to go. Did things change? No. They were definitely not enough to have caused a dent in the economy. But they were the scapegoat. They were sent away. In pain, they had been here for several years. And they were to leave suddenly. So the Nigerians believed they had justification to send them out. Go back to your country. And when such things happen, you can't distinguish in the street between the one who is legally there and the one who is not legally there. It's the government functionaries that have the authority to decide who's legal and who's not legal. It's not the guy in the street who's supposed to ask you, where are you from? And you say, well, I'm from such and such a place. Okay, so are you here legally? He doesn't even have the wherewithal to make such decisions. It cannot be left to everyone who is angry. The government already has structures to deal with illegal immigration. So leave that to the government. Now, if you say the government is not doing it, protest to the government. Protest to the government, then the government will listen to you. Protest to the government. You don't go after those. That's taking the law into your hands. Now, you accuse them of breaking the law by coming in illegally, and you attack them by breaking the law. You cannot take the law into your hands and go after them and tell them they must leave. You don't have the authority to do that. That's also illegal. It's as illegal as their illegal immigration. Here is where you get into real trouble. Imagine that they resist in self-defense. One little spark of a problem can lead to terrible devastation. And that's why I warn you. If you're not happy with the immigrants in the country, protest to the government. They allow protests. So you can go in the street to the government and let them hear you, and they will take actions. There are legal ways of dealing with such things. It's not appropriate for you, when you are not the law enforcement agent, it's not appropriate for you to give an ultimatum to the immigrants in your country and say, on such and such a date, you must leave. It's not okay. You're not authorized to do that. You don't have the right to do it. You are just as illegal in such an action as they are illegal in coming into your country without the right documentation. And that is assuming that you're only upset with those who came in illegally. The trouble doesn't stop there. When we say xenophobia, maybe you need to understand what it really is. It comes from two words, two Greek words, xenos and phobos. Xenos refers to a stranger or a foreigner. And then, of course, phobos, fear. The fear that you would fail because the strangers in your country taking over the economy. The fear that because of them, things are not going to go well with you. The fear that they're harmful. The fear that their crimes are worse than your crimes. And that fear doesn't make you run away from them. That fear makes you attack them. I want you to understand. It makes you attack them. That's why you can be accused of xenophobia. Some even say it's Afrophobia because they think it's only Africans that it's directed to, but it's the same. It's the same. You're walking a dangerous path. I'd like to remind you that the case with Ghana was a very easy one because it's not too long ago. But it was bad. Now imagine if that goes on throughout Africa. But it can get worse and lead to genocide. Ask yourself what happened to Rwanda in the early 1990s. These were people that lived together. They're of the same culture, the Tutsis and the Hutus. Same culture, same people. These were not two ethnic groups. They're the same ethnic group. And of course, their colonial masters helped them to create some differences between them by telling them that the cattle headers were different from the farmers. Okay, so the Hutus were farmers, the Tutsis were rearing cattle, and you got more money from the cattle than you did from farming. The Hutus were more, the Tutsis were lesser in numbers. And so the colonial masters favored the Tutsis and gave the impression that they were superior to the others, eventually giving them ID cards. Further solidifying a difference between them, which they wanted, because you must understand that the colonial masters had a divide and rule method of government. These were the Germans and the Belgians. And then after, they projected the Tutsis. But after the independence, the Hutus took over power and marginalized further the Tutsis. They were the same people. They went to the same schools, lived among themselves, worshipped in the same churches, intermarried. In fact, it was said that you could be a Tutsi and later become a Hutu if your economic conditions changed. If you moved from going with cattle, doing cattle business, and you became a farmer, you became a Hutu. And if circumstances changed in your favor and you got more cattle and became wealthy, you became a Tutsi. That's how close they were. But the day came when their Hutu president was killed in a plane crash along with the Burundian president. And the Hutus blamed the Tutsis for it and immediately isolated them. And they started hunting them down. Everywhere they found a Tutsi, he had to die. And if you were Hutu and you supported, or rather you supported the Tutsi, or you were against the genocide, you were killed as well. And before long, more than 800,000 people have been killed. That's a large number. It spiraled down very quickly to genocide. It wasn't planned from the beginning. They had disagreements before. Yugoslavia, the largest country in the world, split into 7 different countries. They remember the Bosnian Wars. The genocide of Sarajevo, Srebrenica. Dark history. Dark history. It happens very easily. That's why I'm warning you. It happens very easily. So those who are telling you on the 30th of June, we're going out and we're going to harass or stop or drive out all undocumented immigrants. They don't have the power to do it. It's illegal. Leave that job for the police. Leave it for the government. And I said, if you think the government is not doing enough, protest to the government. Go to the government. Protest to the government. Don't take the laws into your hands. Every God-fearing person should refuse to follow those foolish instructions. Don't go with them. I tell you, it's improper. A mob cannot create peace. You have a government. Let the government do its job. It's easy to say, if the government is not doing it, we're going to help the government. How are you going to help the government? You put the government in place. They are your representatives. Don't destroy your own country while you're thinking that you're trying to save it from these immigrants. Reminds me of the words of John F. Kennedy in his inaugural speech years ago. He said, those who foolishly want to claim power by riding the tiger will find themselves inside. I hope you understand what that means. A mob is difficult to control. A mob is as bad as fire. A mob is as bad. There are three terrible forces in the world that are difficult to control. One is flood. The other is fire. The third one is a mob, a human mob. They get out of control. Any of these three can destroy a whole city, destroy a whole country. And they always start from a point. Unintended, always unintended. So it's easy to support the reason why the immigrants must go. It's easy to support it. All kinds of reasons can be advanced. And I'm not here to discuss whether the reasons are good or not good. I'm telling you, there's a process. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. Jungle justice is not okay.
Yes, sir.
It's not okay.
Yes, sir.
Even when you catch a thief, you don't start beating him and injuring him, and you don't have to kill him there. Take him to the law.
Yes, sir.
That's what you do in a lawful society. And I'm saying, you in South Africa, prove yourself to be educated, distinguished, wise, and understanding.
Yes, sir.
Show yourself to be excellent.
Yes.
That's what you have to do. Let me show you a little bit of this documentary. Just watch this. Some of the things I already told you, let's just watch.
When a society begins to fracture, it rarely starts with hatred. It starts with anxiety. When economies stagnate, when promises fail, and when the future grows uncertain, human nature seeks a focal point for its frustration.
So we vent our anger, our dissatisfaction on our perceived enemies.
These people, they work for 80 rand a day, 90 rand a day. It's fine for them because when you go to his country, it's a lot of money. But for us, it's too small. So we are no longer getting jobs anymore because of the salary we're looking for. You understand? These people, they are accepting small money.
They feared for their lives, they wouldn't be here. Remember, they left their countries because they feared for their lives, didn't they? Now, if they fear for their lives, what's stopping them from going to the next country? Why are they still fighting to be in South Africa? If you fear for your life and you're an immigrant, this is the best time to go back home.
Look at it. It's a pattern. It happens not just only in South Africa, even in the United States and even in other countries, where chaos always erupts when it's election time.
Where are you from? Where? Huh?
Yes.
Yes. So what are you doing here? Because we've been calling for you guys to leave the country. Why are you still here?
I got to school for children.
No, my brother. No. Please respect what we are saying and don't try and oppose what we are doing. Don't listen to the government. Don't listen to the police. Don't listen to anyone. Just listen to us. We are saying this peacefully. Please go to your country. 30 June is the deadline.
Or else what?
For decades, socialist Yugoslavia operated under the official motto of brotherhood and unity. It was a complex, multi-ethnic federation holding together distinct cultural and religious groups. But the glue holding it together wasn't just ideology, it was economic stability.
Yugoslavia was the largest country in the world.
When the global economy shifted in the 1980s, Yugoslavia collapsed into severe debt. The International Monetary Fund stepped in, demanding harsh structural adjustments, public spending cuts, and currency devaluations. Suddenly, resources were scarce, jobs vanished, and the state could no longer deliver on its promises. In times of structural failure, leaders face a choice: reform the system or find someone to blame. In Yugoslavia, opportunistic political elites chose the latter. Instead of addressing financial mismanagement, state-controlled media and politicians began translating economic misery into ethnic grievance. The playbook was deployed with clinical precision. In Serbia, media narratives framed other republics as economic parasites draining Serbian wealth. In Croatia and Slovenia, the narrative reversed, painting the federal center as a backward, oppressive force stifling their European identity. The other was no longer just a neighbor, they were an existential threat to survival. Xenophobia was weaponized to convince ordinary citizens that their poverty wasn't caused by bad policy, but by the demographic and cultural threat of the group across the border. The weaponization of internal xenophobia tore Yugoslavia apart, resulting in the deadliest conflict on European soil since World War II. Over 100,000 lives lost and millions displaced.
These are Satan's ways of distracting people, destroying their lives.
This was not peculiar to Yugoslavia alone.
Some of you will remember how Nigeria acted many years ago towards Ghana, the neighboring country.
Nigeria was experiencing a massive oil-fueled economic boom. Millions of West Africans, particularly Ghanaians fleeing political instability and severe famine at home, migrated to Nigeria. Ghanaian nationals became deeply embedded in the Nigerian workforce, notably filling critical gaps as teachers and skilled laborers. By 1982, global oil prices crashed, plunging Nigeria into a harsh recession marked by inflation and unemployment. In January 1983, President Shehu Shagari issued an executive order giving all undocumented immigrants 2 weeks to leave the country or face arrest.
They came to the same very conclusion that the reason they're not getting jobs, that their young people are not getting jobs, was because of the Ghanaians, that the Ghanaians were taking their jobs.
The mass exodus gave rise to the term Ghana must go, named after the cheap, sturdy, checkered blue and red nylon bags migrants used to pack their lives into. President Shehu Shagari's administration expected that expelling foreign workers would immediately free up jobs for unemployed Nigerians and stabilize the crashing oil economy. The reality was much more disruptive. Ghanaians hadn't just taken low-skilled jobs, they had become the backbone of several vital sectors, education and construction. Infrastructure projects ground to a sudden halt or saw costs skyrocket as local labor prices spiked overnight.
Xenophobic reactions to fellow Africans. It's satanic.
30 years ago, the Tutsi of Rwanda found themselves alone in the dark of night. In the new Rwanda, a forward-looking nation, memories collide. Yesterday's survivors and executioners cross paths without ever meeting. The aftermath of genocide is an enormous void.
They killed children and old people, and that
Didn't happen at a moment of collective madness. This widespread violence had been in the works for a long time. How did Rwandans come to exterminate other Rwandans? In this small African country, the poison of a genocidal ideology was rooted in European racism and in the country's colonizer, Belgium.
They're doing those things because Satan inspires them to do them.
Decades after the fall of apartheid, South Africa faces staggering structural crises, an overall unemployment rate hovering over 32%, youth unemployment suffocating nearly 61% of the young population, and a severe backlog in public housing, healthcare, and basic service delivery.
South Africa faces a serious and persistent unemployment crisis. Even under the strictest definition, these numbers continue to climb each year. There was an increase of 237,000 in the number of unemployed persons from 8 million to 8.2 million from the last quarter of 2024. In the first quarter of 2025, the NEET, or not in employment, education or training, rate for young people aged 15 to 24 stood at 37.1%. It is clear from the above mentioned that the persistent unemployment crisis in South Africa is a direct consequence of a fundamentally flawed political system. The experience of South Africa serves as a critical lesson, demonstrating that ideologies focused on destruction rather than building cannot lead to sustainable growth and prosperity.
At the center of black-on-black hatred is a state-sponsored and capital-sponsored hatred to distract you from giving you economic opportunities, to make you blame wrong people for your misfortunes. There's no Zimbabwe that took a land from you. There's no Zimbabwe that took a tender from you. There's no Zimbabwe that took a job from you. There are no jobs. The jobs Zimbabweans are doing, you don't want to do them. You are so educated enough to can do those slave jobs. That's why, not that you are lazy. You are not lazy, you know your work.
That was quite interesting, the last speaker, right? You know, we talk a lot about what happened in Germany years ago, Hitler's Holocaust. Well, they started out by blaming the Jews for their economic woes. And they wanted the Jews to leave, get out of our country. And so at the appointed time, all those who hadn't left were in trouble. And it led to the Holocaust. So I want the leaders of South Africa to think again. The government has power to protect all people in their country. You have to protect everyone. Even criminals have to be protected by the government. Don't forget. Even criminals have to be protected. And then they're brought to justice. And while they are facing justice, they must be protected. Otherwise, there's no justice. And you cannot say, bring us good immigrants. There's no such thing. There are no good immigrants and bad immigrants. They're just people. And people might act badly. But then That's why you have the laws. So you must reverse the plan to destroy or to molest or malhandle or mistreat anyone on the 30th of June. And all wise and understanding people should not join such a rampage. If you must protest, protest to the government. Don't attack the immigrants. Get to the government, let the government do its job. That's the way to do it. And I pray for you that God will give you wisdom to act wisely in these challenging times and not to allow yourself accept foolish solutions for real problems. No one is denying the challenges that you might face with immigration. They come in different forms. But don't prefer the wrong solutions, especially such actions that will likely lead you downhill. So understand that the peace you have enjoyed so far can increase. You can have more peace. Or you can destroy it. And I would say to all who are Christians in South Africa, pray for the peace of South Africa. That's what you do. Don't get involved in these satanic activities. I told you, it's Satan that leads people to attack others and destroy their lives. All of that anger, for good reasons or bad reasons, makes no difference. So let God guide your heart. Let God guide your heart. There's the right way to deal with a problem, and there's a wrong way to deal with it. Do it the right way. Do it the right way. And I'm praying for you that you do it the right way and make South Africa even greater. Do it the right way. And the same throughout Africa. There's no reason to retaliate. There's no reason for Ghana to retaliate against South Africa, or Malawi to retaliate against South Africa, or Nigeria to retaliate against South Africa. I think there can be a discussion. It's very easy. It's very easy. Don't make Africa a terrible place. Make it a place of peace. And you can. And you can. So I thank God, because God's plan for this second half of the year is to have peace for all the nations of the world. And that's one more reason it's important for South Africa to act wisely, as I've said. So may June 30th be a day of peace for you, not a day of war and trouble. That's my prayer for you. God's plan is to give peace and prosperity throughout the world this second half. It's God's plan. It's God's plan. It's God's plan. This second half, he does give peace. He can do it. He does it. I already showed you there are forces of evil that take away peace. Like I just read to you in Revelation chapter 6 and verse number 4. But God can give peace and wants to. He wants to. He wants to. And when he gives peace, he gives prosperity. So it's very, very important that you recognize your role in the scheme of things. When God determines to give you peace and prosperity, you walk in line with his plans. You follow his plans. That's what you do. And I want us to pray right now. Pray for the nations. And pray for South Africa and all the African countries. Pray for them as well. Pray for the nations of the world.